This is Jamey Boyum in Upshur County. I am here with County Judge Todd Tefteller, and you guys kind of had a long commissioners meeting this morning. Had a lot of stuff you had to talk about. One of the first things I guess you spoke of was the sheriff's department needed a little bit more money for fuel.
Yes. What we're doing is in an effort to save expenses. We've told our departments that we're going to budget a little bit under, and if they need extra money as the year unfolds, we'll be glad to grant it to them. And so, due to the rising cost of petroleum products, i.e. gasoline, the sheriff had to request another $14,000 to be added to his fuel expense budget for the rest of this year. And I say rest of this year, the rest of the fiscal year for the county, which ends October 1.
Yeah, so it's kind of a short period of time, really.
Yeah, a lot of people think a year is January 1 to the next end of December the next year. Well, fiscal years for counties is October 1 to October 1.
Gotcha. And then, of course, a big item was that you guys spent a lot of time talking about how to public hearing property taxes.
Correct. This year's budget raises about another 1.1 million more dollars than the total budget from last year. About half of that increased funding is due to more properties being created and put on the tax rolls, and about half of the increase was due to the increased appraised values of properties. A lot of citizens don't understand how come the appraised value of their properties went up so high in such a short period of time, but nevertheless they did. And so
a big jump, yeah.
A big jump. The average homestead in Upshur County jumped up about 32% in appraised value. And what we did to combat that is lowered the tax rate from 60 cents per hundred to a little under 50 cents per hundred, which is about a dime increase. And that's probably the lowest tax rate we've had in Upshur County in the last 15 years. Nevertheless, though, homeowners will see a slight increase in their tax bills for the county on average of about $20 per homestead. But that's due to the increased appraised value of their property.
Yeah, and that of course is due to property sales. It has nothing to do with you guys.
Correct. The local appraisal district sets the appraised values of property, and then we base our tax rate on those assessed values.
So I guess to soften the blow a bit, you went ahead and dropped the amount down, dropped the tax rate down. But it's still, like you said, it's still actually more than it was last year.
It is. It's a little more, not a whole lot more. It's a little more, not a whole lot more. Now look, we can't take all the credit. We would have lowered the tax rate to the bare minimum we need to operate the county. But by Texas law, the no new revenue rate is just a little bit more than what we set it at today. So keep our fingers crossed that the $100,000 homestead exemption passes by constitutional amendment this fall. Very important.
So another thing you guys discussed was a courthouse renovation.
Yes.
That hasn't actually physically started yet, right?
Well, as far as swinging sledgehammers, that part hadn't physically started, but the rest of it has. All the county employees and department heads are out of the old building, and we're all over here in this new building. It's going to be our temporary base of operations during the renovation. And we've already signed a contract with J.C. Stoddard, who are in the business of restoring historical buildings. And in fact, we've already been having contractors meetings to get the bids lined up to perform the work.
And you were talking about something kind of interesting. Apparently, the benches in the courtroom need to be removed, and they're not little tiny park benches, are they?
No, sir. They're very big, they're long, And it's going to be a challenge getting them out of the courtroom to be stored somewhere else. They'll have to be stored in a climate-controlled environment, which we're going to be able to do that, no problem. But it's going to be a challenge getting them out of the courtroom and down in the yard so they can be moved. I'm just hoping we can do that with a lot of physical, careful labor. They don't have to do it with a crane out the third floor window. We'll see.
Which just might happen because they are so long. I mean, they're like church pews.
They're church pews, and they're big church pews, and they've been in there for 90 years, and they're going to be put back. It's going to be restored to its original glory.
That's part of the history of the court.
That's part of the history of the courthouse, and it's a big part of the history of this county. It's the Upshur County Courthouse.
So what are we looking at as far as a budget for all of this?
Right now, the projected budget is $12.8 million for the renovation, from which the State Texas Historical Commission has pledged to pay $5.2 million, or a 41% match to the county for the renovation. And we could not have done it without the grant from the Texas Historical Commission, which we'd been working on for about 20 years.
Yeah, this is not, some people think this just happened like that, but you guys, it's taken a while.
Right, and this court here can't take all the credit. It's our people that went before us, keeping us eligible, keeping the courthouse plans ready, updated. It's been an effort of a lot of people in this county to get the renovation completed. Now, everybody knows sometimes when you do construction work, the costs don't come in exactly on what the contract says. We've also received word from the Texas Historical Commission that if the cost exceeds the projected amount of $12.8 million, they will continue to reimburse us 41% of those increased costs, up to $975,000. So we think that's some pretty good insurance for us should there be some cost overruns, because nobody ever can predict the future.
No, sure.
On world events that affect infrastructure purchases, steel, wiring, cable. But we're sure looking forward to getting this done, and we think it's going to come in really close to $12.8 million.
But there could be unexpected surprises when you start pulling down false ceilings, things like that, I guess.
I'm not so worried about running into something they don't anticipate, but like the price of steel and volatile commodities, that's what you can't always predict. So, the cost that it's going to take to supply for the supplies, for the infrastructure that'll go into the building. But, the powers that be have taken that into consideration to come up with the projected cost.
And then I guess, as you put it, sledgehammers are going to start swinging sometime in October, supposedly?
They could be. That's what I look to happen. We've already made the jump from out of there over here, so it's evacuated. It's ready for them to come in and start their work as soon as they can. And
then from that start, it's 720 days?
No, the contract says 620 days.
600?
I think.
Okay.
But we've been told to plan on 3 years.
Yeah.
But the contractor we hired does a lot of work on historical buildings. And they say we're going to get this thing done in 620 days. We'll be in there and out, and we'll have you ahead of schedule.
Well, they did some good work over in Jefferson.
And the architect we have is Mr. Carl Komatsu, and he says that we're going to get it done way under 3 years. And they got the deal done, the renovation redone in Marion County under the time allotted also.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, sir. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for speaking with me.
All right.
Pleasure as always. We'll have more later on KLTV 7 News and KLTV.com. And I think this guy wants lunch.